The Leagoo Shark 1 is one of the largest smartphones out there, featuring a 6-inch display. It's definitely not a one-handed smartphone. We spent about a week and a half using it as our daily driver, so let's go ahead and jump into the full review. So the Leagoo Shark 1 is a 6-inch device with a full HD display, powered by the octa-core MediaTek 6753 processor. It's also paired with 3 gigs of RAM and 16 gigs of storage. The Shark 1 has some pretty respectable specs, especially at the sub $200 price point. A bit surprising to see these specs along with an all-metal build, but that's exactly what Leagoo has launched here with the Shark 1. We're looking at a metal frame and back here on the Shark 1, and it's not painted metal like what you have on the LG G5. It's legit metal. It feels quite nice in the hand, but it is a bit slippery. Something you expect from the smartphone given that it is a metal phone that is 6 inches. Leagoo has put the volume rocker and power button on the right side of the device with the SIM card slot on the other side. Speaking of the SIM card slot, it's actually a dual micro SIM card slot, with the first slot doubling as a micro SD card slot, which allows you to expand the storage of 16GB all the way up to about 200GB of storage. The Shark 1 does support a micro USB connector on the bottom, a bit expected, although it would be nice to see a USB Type-C port at the bottom of the phone. The 3.5mm headphone jack is up at the top of the phone. Leagoo has put the speaker on the back of the phone and it has a nipple on either side of the speaker. This allows the speaker to be raised slightly when you put the phone on a table or desk. This keeps the sound from coming out muffled, something we all hate to hear and the reason why many aren't fans of speakers on the back of phones these days. Having said that, the speaker is actually quite good. Now it's not going to rival the hi-fi audio that you find in the ZTE Axon Pro or the new HTC 10, but it'll keep most of us satisfied. Now Leagoo does have a fingerprint sensor here on the back of the Shark 1, and it's not all that great to be honest. Now it's a bit too far up on the back of the device, but that's not the real issue here with the fingerprint sensor. The sensor isn't that accurate and is super slow. We've timed how long it takes to unlock using the fingerprint sensor and it takes at least 10 seconds or more. That's just too slow for a fingerprint sensor in 2016. Additionally, since the device is running Android 5.1 Lollipop, the fingerprint sensor is only good for unlocking the device, as there's no support for the fingerprint API that Google debuted in Marshmallow. Battery life on the Shark 1 is pretty good. We're looking at a 6300 mAh battery here powering this large display, and we were able to get almost 6 hours on screen time, and consistently over 5 hours on screen. So it can definitely get you through a full day, and it typically got us through 2 full days. With it having such a large battery, you'd expect it to be pretty slow at charging. But Leagoo has added their own form of quick charge here, which charges at 3 amps. If you use the included charger. This will charge the Shark 1 from about 10% to 100% in about 3 hours. Not quick by any means really, but definitely quicker than charging at a 1.5 amp or even 1.8 amps. As mentioned, the software here is Android 5.1 Lollipop, along with Leagoo's own skin on top. I actually like their skin. It's not quite stock Android, but a lot of the stock Android functionality is still there, just in different colors. The notification shade works the same as on stock Lollipop, but it's a different shade of green, which I actually like this a little bit better. There are also more quick settings available. Now that's partially due to the larger screen and they are customizable. Notifications on the Shark 1 can be managed, so you can choose which apps you want to show notifications in the notification shade. Now, as is the case with most smartphones coming out of China, there's no app drawer. Instead, all of your apps are on your home screens. It's something that many users in the West aren't a fan of, but apparently is very big in Asia. Luckily, there are folders available, unlike the Smartisan T2, and you can put many apps into these folders to hide the ones that you don't want to use often. However, folders are limited to just 15 apps for some reason, so we have most of our apps that we don't use too often stashed into 2 folders on the second homepage. Otherwise, the launcher is quite nice. It's fast and fluid, as you'd expect running this hardware. If you're not a fan of Leagoo's launcher, remember that this is Android, so you can install a third-party launcher from Google Play. Now there are quite a few gestures here, and its features like Smart Stay. It's really reminiscent of Samsung's Galaxy S4. One of the few gestures I did use quite often was Smart Stay and double tap to turn on the display. Smart Stay uses the front-facing camera to see if you're still looking at the display, and then it will keep the display on or turn it off if you're not, especially helpful if you're reading an article or something. Now you can double tap to wake the device, but not to put it to sleep, unfortunately. But there are also a ton of other gestures that you can turn on or not. The camera is arguably the biggest letdown of the Leagoo Shark 1, unfortunately. Many of the pictures came out looking pretty bad, like it was taken with a potato cam or even Mr. Blurry cam. Now ones that were taken outdoors came out a little bit better, but still they were a pretty big letdown for the Shark one. Now it sports a 13 megapixel Sony sensor, so you'd expect it to be a bit better than this. You can see some of the full resolution images on the Flickr album that's linked in the description below. The UI of the camera was pretty easy to use, although it could be a bit slow to launch at times. Leagoo included a few different modes for the camera which include HDR, panorama, multi-angle, motion tracking, picture-in-picture mode, face beauty, and watermark. Not to mention the professional mode that's also included, something we're seeing more and more in smartphones these days. The camera isn't a strong point for the Shark one, so I wouldn't buy it for the camera, which is unfortunate because it does have some promise. As of right now, the Leagoo Shark one is only available in China, and it's priced at about $189 US. However, if you are in Europe, you can import it from GearBest at that price, using the link in the description down below. Those of you in the US, if you do bring the Shark one over, it's not going to work on LTE in the US. You'll only get edge speeds, which is pretty much standard for Chinese smartphones, to be honest. For the Leagoo Shark one, it's a pretty decent smartphone, but if you're looking for something with a great camera at a low price, you'll want to look elsewhere, which is unfortunate, but hopefully some software updates can fix it. If you liked this video, make sure to like and subscribe, and we'll see you in the next one.